What's going on? You're watching Panthers Post. Thanks for joining. All right, Dan Morgan. What was the phrase? He had to take a shot every time he says it during the offseason. Dog. They want dog. D-A-W-G, D-O-G-G, D-O-G. No P-U-P-P-Ys, just dogs. We want dogs on this defense. And we saw what he did on the offensive line, getting Damian Lewis and getting Robert Hunt. And there's theories out there, obviously on WFNZ, on the X Machine, whatever. But there is a scenario where Dan Morgan basically copy and paste what he did on the offensive line last offseason with the defensive line this offseason, double dipping on the free agents available. You can flash that cash. You can manipulate some contracts, whether it's Robert Hunt, Taylor Moton, whoever. Just manipulate that contract to free up some space to pay for some dudes on the D-line, because I think that is going to be a focus in this offseason during free agency, because they got to stop the run. As I mentioned in previous episodes, there were some running backs. I had no idea who the heck they were until they played the Panthers, because they're rushing for 200-plus yards. You couldn't tell me before they took on the Dallas Cowboys who the starting running back was. I knew Ezekiel Elliott came back. I didn't know who was their starting running back. I didn't know who Bucky Irvin was. Bucky Irvin came out on the scene after he played the Panthers. So you got to stop the run. You got to stop the bleeding. And just the way the mock drafts are turning out right now, it does not appear that the Panthers are going to be in the Mason Graham sweepstakes. He's one of the better interior defensive linemen out there. Obviously, Derek Brown is coming back, but you want to shore up that defensive line. Maybe find another partner if Shai Tuttle does not come back. A'Shawn Robinson is pretty darn good, but let's get some more veterans in there. And then after this episode, after I talk about the free agent class, so no trades or anything like that. We're not trading for Garrett Wilson, even though I'd love to have that happen. Not trading for George Pickens. We're going to talk about the offense in another episode, but we're not making any trades right now for any defensive players. So this is purely based on PFF's top 100 free agents. And I'm going to pick some defensive players out there who are looking for a new home, who can maybe find one on Mint Street. And then, if you're a member, for less than $2.99 Canadian, which is like $100 or like $1.34 American, our dollar sucks, you can be a member. So you can watch this one. You get your free agent fix the defense, and then for members only, you're going to see the corresponding mock draft, because free agency kind of maps out what you do in the draft. You can watch that exclusively if you are a member. So it's like $1.34 American. Boom, less than a cup of coffee. You get exclusive videos. You're going to be getting early access to videos, including this one. If you're watching this on Friday, you're not a member. If you're watching on Thursday, you are a member. And also live chats. Got to get back on that. No doubt. All right. So let's talk about some free agents right now. And as I mentioned before, I think Dan Morgan is going to do what he did on the offensive line last year and double dip. Trying to get some interior defensive linemen, trying to get some edges out there, and then you can, get best player available at number 8, or maybe even trade down. You have to check that episode out. So number 1 on a defensive line pickup to try to shore up this defensive line, adding Derek Brown, which is almost like getting a free agent in the offseason, because he was gone after the first week. So that's a massive boost. Who's going to be his partner on top of A'Shawn Robinson? How about Osa Idikizua out of the Dallas Cowboys? He did a damn good job against the Carolina Panthers when they faced up against them. That was a game that I thought the Panthers were going to win, no doubt. But they came out, and he's been a consistent player so far this season. 33 solo tackles, 7 sacks, 5 assists, and 1 forced fumble. Just big bodies. We want big bodies, 6'2", 280 pounds, only 26 years old. Pay that man. Dallas Cowboys are getting a new head coach. They're going to be getting a new regime in. So you're kind of getting them in a situation of transition. Try to take advantage. Maybe they're going to put their focus elsewhere. Maybe a different defensive scheme. Maybe just different priorities with this team. They could be sellers. Who knows? So take advantage of the situation there. We're going back to the interior defensive line, getting a veteran presence in Jaron Reed, 6'3", 307 pounds, 32 years old, from the Seattle Seahawks. We always talk about the NFL is about relationships. Dave Canales, he's a Seattle guy. Dan Morgan, Seattle guy. They saw how that thing was built. 27 tackles, 4 sacks, 13 assists, 1 forced fumble as well. The veteran presence, you got him, and you got Derek Brown up the middle in the gut. I think that'd be pretty nasty. That'd be pretty nasty as a guy, just also a locker room presence. He understands the culture a little bit. As a Dave Canales, so you kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You improve the defensive line. You also got a guy who the GM/former linebacker is aware of, as with the head coach. Mesh together there. I think that could be potentially a match made in heaven. The New York Giants. So they got, obviously, Brian Burns. They got Thibodeau. How about you get someone who might be potentially on the outs? They might not have a place for them, or maybe internally they think, you know what, I could be a big dog somewhere else. Azeez Ojulari, only 24 years old, 6'3", 240 pounds. Last season, again, sharing time with Brian Burns and Thibodeau, 12 solo tackles, 7 sacks, 8 assists, no 0 forced fumbles. He's a guy maybe who just needs a change of scenery. So you got an aging Jadeveon Clowney who played well down the stretch. You got maybe Azeez Ojulari on the one side. Obviously, we still got DJ Wonnum as well. So Azeez Ojulari could maybe, under the tutelage of one Brian Burns, maybe replace him one day on top of DJ Wonnum. Maybe this guy's could be a long play DJ Wonnum. Maybe he doesn't stick around with the Carolina Panthers. Who knows how long Clowney's going to be here. And then you got a rookie situation at number 8, if somehow Abdul Carter is available at number 8. Or you got James Pierce, or you got Jalen Walker, who could kind of play that linebacker and edge position. You know, you can have a defensive edge room that's got Jadeveon Clowney, DJ Wonnum. Those are your starters in the next year. Maybe you rotate Azeez Ojulari, or maybe there's a situation where DJ Wonnum maybe doesn't stick around. Who knows? Greener pastures. You're not sure. Azeez Ojulari there as well. And then you tap in with a rookie to try to really build the depth on that room, assuming down the line, Clowney is not long for the team. He decides to hang up the cleats. DJ Wonnum, we'll see where he goes in the future. So Azeez Ojulari as an edge rusher for this team, I think could make sense. Staying on the defensive line now. So this is a guy who is kind of the hot name. He's kind of the hot name because he's officially announced that he's going to be testing free agency. He is also a guy that the guys over at NFL Stock Exchange talked about could be an option for the Panthers as someone who, for some reason, they did not believe DJ Wonnum was going to be on this team long term. But if this scenario, DJ Wonnum were to leave, this player could replace him and then also add to, in his role as defensive edge, but also as a teacher to whatever rookie defensive lineman they do eventually draft, and that is Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack, I've been watching this man since his days at the University of Buffalo. Who knew? A guy from University of Buffalo going to be drafted in the first round. Absolute star. He has outperformed what I thought he was going to do as a linebacker from there. He went from there to the Bears, Raiders, now the Los Angeles Chargers. He is testing free agency. Still a menace. 6'3", 270 pounds. 33 years old. Still a pretty young cat in football years at least. 24 tackles, 7 sacks, 3 assisted sacks, 2 forced fumbles. I think he'd be a great addition. Even if DJ Wonnum is on this team, just stack good players. Khalil Mack is a good player. Put him either, who knows, on the availability of Jadeveon. Again, he's entering, unfortunately, the back 9 of his career, to put it lightly. If you can get a Khalil Mack kind of lining up all over the place, either rotate him and DJ Wonnum so that we're going to make sure that everyone's nice and fresh on the defensive line. You sprinkle in an edge rookie. If you don't spend the 8th overall pick on a defensive end, maybe you go Ted McMillan. I don't know. Maybe Ted McMillan is higher on their draft, and then it's okay because you got Khalil Mack, and then you can spend a second rounder on a pretty deep defensive end draft, defensive tackle draft, and then spend one there. So you help Bryce early, and then you continue to build on the defensive line for the future. That could be a route that you go. So Khalil Mack, one of my favorites. He's already got, as our NFL fashion on X has pointed out, he's got a Hall of Fame jersey career. Bears, good looking jersey, even though their fan base is interesting. Raiders, and then Chargers. I think he'd be pretty good in process blue. He could rock number 52 as well. I think that'd look kind of pretty. Okay, now let's talk about linebackers. So Shaq Thompson, unfortunately, is he going to maybe sign like a one-day contract with the Panthers, retire? Is he going to come back from his torn Achilles somehow, be an absolute machine man, T1000 type, and come back with the Panthers bigger, badder, better than ever? Maybe. If that happens, great. I still think they need to pick somebody up. There are some studs in the draft when it comes to some linebackers out there. Jahad Campbell at the University of Alabama, I think he could be an option there. I think he might be going in first round, though. So only way you're going to get him is trade down. I don't know. He's 8th overall pick type, but trade down. There's also some cats out of UCLA. There's some linebackers I'm constantly getting on mock drafts from Oregon. So there's some rookie linebackers out there, but I think we need a little bit more grit on this team to coincide with Josey Jewell, who not a leader yet. He's had some moments with this team. He also has had some injuries. So again, best ability is durability, availability. So you got Josey Jewell there. We got our guy out of Kentucky. You can draft another rookie, but in the meantime, how about you get someone who's won Super Bowls, someone who's been there before, and someone who's an absolute dog, undersized, but has that dog in him. You get the X-ray, it's a dog, and inside the X-ray of the dog is another dog, and that's Nick Bolton, linebacker from the Kansas City Chiefs, still only 24 years old. The man has multiple Super Bowls. He's been there before. You need that winning mentality. Brant Tillis, talk about relationships. He helped pay that man. He has seen him play up close. He knows him. 65.4 overall grade from PFF. In terms of stats, 81 solo tackles, 1 forced fumble, 26 assists. He's a ball hawk. He's a guy, like, he'd be one of my go-to free agents right now, just to try to build this culture with this team. You want that winning culture. I think David Tepper one day wants his team to be a blue blood franchise, kind of like the Kansas City Chiefs. Because, and Brent Tillis has seen this new iteration of the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, before this, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift era, the Chiefs were like a fun team. They had Priest Holmes. They had Trent Green. They got some pretty good quarterbacks. They had some good runs, but they weren't what they are now. And I think Nick Bolton is kind of the anchor of that defense, and maybe he wants to get paid elsewhere. He's got the championship pedigree. He's got the relationship with Brent Tillis. 5'11", 237. We need a dog. This is a dog. We kind of lost one when we lost Frankie Louvu doing his thing out in D.C. We need to bring that back. So have him, Josie Jewell, and then a rookie linebacker on top of the one that we drafted last year. I think that's a formidable defensive linebacker front right there. Let's talk about the defensive secondary right now. Obviously, we got J.C. Horn, Pro Bowler, first-time Pro Bowler, arguably his best season as a pro, because your best ability is availability, durability, and he did exactly that, minus a little hiccup towards the end of the season. But then the opposite side, they got Dane Jackson. He got hurt. And then he got Mike Jackson, who they brought in from the Seattle Seahawks. Again, all about relationships here in the National Football League. I think he outperformed his contract. He is potentially someone that they can re-sign, maybe on a team-friendly deal. But he can definitely stick around there. But is he a long-term starter? He's definitely picking up on the culture. I think he is part of this rebuild. But is he a long-term answer on this team? Now, if they do not want to spend the 8th overall pick this year on a Will Johnson out of Michigan, who, according to some draft experts, is the best prospect in the draft, even though he didn't play much this year due to injury. I understand J.C. Horn was picked 8th overall on this team, but they also had in that time, I think they had Brian Burns. They 100% had Brian Burns. They had Derek Brown. They were just kind of building up the rest of that defense. So do they want to spend another premium blue chip pick on a cornerback, or would they rather go, let's say if Abdul Carter is there, let's say somehow Mason Graham is still there, or if, you never know, if James Pierce Jr. shoots up the draft boards, this green cat out of Marshall, they shoot up draft boards, they want to spend the money on that, or spend the draft capital on that, then I think in this situation, if you don't think Mike Jack is going to be there forever, maybe go a little younger on the cornerback route. Why not Byron Murphy Jr., cornerback out of the Minnesota Vikings. 27 years old, 5'11", 190 pounds, led the NFL in interceptions, first out of cornerbacks, aggressive. Like Brian Flores, just the way that man plays defense, you need to be a certain type of player, certain type of person, a dog perhaps, to thrive in that defense. And so for him to get paid elsewhere, be the star, opposite side J.C. Horn, in a way kind of create a little bit of, internal cornerback competition to try to one-up each other, one-up seatbelt each other. Byron Murphy, I think, could be a pretty good addition to this defense. So again, to recap, build up the defensive line. Osa Odigizua, him. Jaron Reed. In terms of edges, Azeez Ojulari, Khalil Mack, corner, Byron Murphy, linebacker, Nick Bolton. That's the wish list. To me, again, you're going to have to get creative with the cap. That's why we got Brant Tillis. Bring some of these guys in, add the draft, maybe make some trades. I think this defense could turn things around. Ejiro Evero, the knock has been worst defense in NFL history, but also on his side, there are some injuries. Get him the dogs. Dan Morgan says he's committed to doing something just like that. Do it, and then see what happens. And then if you do have to let a Javero go, at least you got some blue chip players like a Khalil Mack, like a Nick Bolton on the team already, and you can get a defensive coach out there and be like, okay, I could at least work with this. I don't think that same could be said with what was brought out there last year on Sundays on a regular basis with the defense that we were sporting out there due to injuries. But with this team, bring some of these guys, maybe just, Jaron Reed, Nick Bolton, Byron Murphy, boom, right there. And then your draft picks. If Ejiro Evero is gone, you can bring someone else in and they think, okay, I can do something with this. So let me know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, spread the word. Again, if you join the membership, the next episode, you can watch it right now. It's the mock draft that is coinciding with these potential pickups. See you guys soon.